What it do, guys? It's your boy, the Juice. Kind of excited to go live tonight and get on stream here and talk about the Nancy Guthrie investigation, just because I think there's a nice new chilling theory that I discovered this evening. Good morning. I don't know what time it is for you right now. For me, it's 2 a.m., April 5th, 2026. Currently 70 degrees outside right now. We were at Nancy's earlier, and I think it was about 85 degrees. It was a good day. So thank you to those who all tuned in earlier when I was at Nancy Guthrie's house. It was a smooth day. You know, the only bad part about my day, which wasn't really bad, was I got flipped off today. So yeah, that was interesting. It was interesting. Big welcomes, those of y'all tuning in though, guys. Big welcomes. I want to start with Nancy Grace. I think she had the interesting chilling video that was discovered by
the ransom note, according to
a gentleman on TikTok named The Real Jim Duffy. I guess he's got some pretty interesting thoughts on the Nancy Guthrie investigation. So we got to watch that today. And then obviously I wanted to kind of just splurge past the three. I think we had about 3 press conferences. I want to say like pretty much 3. I think about 3. February 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd. I'm not too sure. I'll get the dates in a second. But just to recap, man, we all know that 84-year-old Nancy went missing February 31st. Well, it was discovered January 31st. It was discovered February 1st that she was missing after missing church that very next morning, obviously, to watch church service at a friend's house. And obviously her friend, I'm assuming, was the one who reached out telling the family that she did not show up. And she probably reached out like, yeah, I tried to call her, she didn't answer. It's odd. It's unusual. It's not Nancy to not answer the phone. So family was contacted after that. Shortly before noon, relatives arrived at Nancy's house. Nanos said he believed that she was taken. And taken against her will at that. 32 hours into the investigation, the reporters were able to just walk on the scene and photograph evidence before it was even fully processed. So this case has been a crazy start. Brian Itza was obviously the one who discovered the blood. He was one of the reporters who discovered the blood, which was quite interesting because, we obviously knew at that point that there was something missed. This, I believe it was, I want to say at least, I don't know the exact number because I don't want to get it wrong, but I want to say at least 2 times it was a crime scene. So after, I think that 36 hours, which is what the amount of time that it was held as a crime scene, and it was released back to family. And then that second time it was released as well, I think about 4 weeks in. So what a super interesting story. I think Nanos, has played a very interesting role here. I don't know who has more of an interesting role in this investigation, Nanos or Nancy. Not even a role. Who's I think Nanos at the end of the day is just stealing the show, and it shouldn't even be nothing about Nanos right now. I think a lot of us felt like Nanos just talked too much, and the stories kept changing. It's just something odd about Nanos that we just don't know yet. And I was saying this earlier out in front of Nancy's. There's something just really odd, and we don't know what it is. Anyways, I'm not gonna waste too much time. I'm gonna dive right into this video. We got to talk tonight, guys. We gotta talk. I think I had the video pulled up. I was live outside Nancy Guthrie's home today. I didn't get it. I didn't quite get it. And if I did get it, the person that was flipping me off. However, I'm too far away, I think, so you can't really see it. But it was interesting.
I won't give her a reason to be.
People are crazy nowadays, man.
I won't. I'll be respectful. I won't talk to her crazy. I'll be really respectful. There's a lady down there looking at me. Oh, she's flipping me off. Why are you flipping me off? Did y'all see that?
See, and you can kind of see the lady down the road. Like, she stops. You can see her hand out, but you can't really see it because she's so far away. But she's literally just stopped, put her hand out, flip me off. So these neighbors don't like us out there, guys. These neighbors do not like us out there. Hopefully I don't get copyright for my own content. I'm joking. Yeah, nobody watches it. I want to slow that down so we can see it. It'd be nice to actually zoom in, but let's slow that down a little bit. Cause I couldn't wait to come home to see this, to see if we'd actually could see the neighbor flipping me off.
Really respectful. I won't.
So we can zoom in here.
Respectful. I won't talk to her crazy. I'll be really respectful.
I don't know if we can. I don't know if y'all can see this. Hold on.
At me. Oh, she's flipping me off.
No, that's not really a good angle. Let's see. I don't know why my live chat doesn't play, by the way. I'm gonna try to zoom in on this this other screen that I have up here. Maybe it'll work. Maybe we'll actually be able to see it, because I haven't zoomed in yet to even really confirm. So we're about to find out right now if we could really see this neighbor flipping me off. Not that it really matters. It's kind of irrelevant. But I just thought I'd show y'all. They really don't want us there anymore. They are fed up with the YouTubers. They're fed up with anybody there. They want their peace. And I showed a sign. If you want to check it out, I did show that sign. And somebody, I don't know who it was in the neighborhood that put that sign up, but it was pretty much them requesting space from the media. They need time to heal. Yeah. No one's bothering you. You don't even have to drive this way to go home. There's several ways to get into Nancy Guthrie's house, or to get to Nancy Guthrie's house. These neighbors don't even have to pass by if they don't want to be on camera. They could go around and come in the opposite way. It's really that simple.
Somebody had said something in the chat and I missed it. Capture says, yep, it's cold. Yeah. It's not cold, but it's cold to me. If that makes sense. It might not, but maybe it will later.
Trying to see if I can zoom in. Bear with me real quick.
She was real nasty to Juanita. Got
waste
right
too
in her
much time
face
on
with
this.
Alex. And her were there. Alex was live. Oh, man. I don't want to do that. I won't give her a reason to be nasty.
All right, we'll see if this is zoomed in enough.
Crazy. They're looking at me. I'll be really respectful. There's a lady down there looking at me. Oh, she's flipping me off. Respectful. There's a lady down there looking at me.
You could see her hand sticking out. Man, I wish I really would have got this. Like, I really wish I would have. Now I got to make sure I zoom in on people when I'm looking at them with the camera, because if these people want to embarrass themselves, they can go right ahead and do that. Yeah, it's not letting me. Well, it's not that it's not letting me. It's just not showing up on my end here. I think I have it. It's because I have this particular scene cut off. So I don't know if it's gonna work, chat. Because I can see it on my. It's so weird. I could see it on my other scene, but I can't for whatever reason see it on the scene I'm currently looking at, which is quite odd. It's like when I'm zoomed in, it's cut out. Oh my god, it's just irritating me right now. Because I really wanted to zoom in, and it's completely cut out. I don't understand how. But anyway, we got flipped off by a neighbor today, guys. That was crazy. It was just unexpected. Did not expect that to happen. Tripped me out. I couldn't believe it. Because I'm actually really a nice guy. I guess I can be mean sometimes. I guess we all have a mean side, right? Anyway, I want to talk about the perp. Well, I want to talk about everything tonight. I want to talk about the perp. I want to talk about the mat. I want to talk about the blood. I want to talk about everything that has to do with the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Nanos. Everything. Just everything. Let's talk about it, chat. We got to talk about it. We have to talk about it. If you know anything new, let me know in the chat. Any updates you have, let your boy know. We want to talk about everything and everything that has to do with the Nancy Guthrie investigation. I want to know what you know. I don't know if my chat is up. Let me make sure the chat is up. Just real quick, because I cannot see it right now. And it's not playing. So we're a little unprepared, guys. It's late. I'm sorry. But I had some things to do today. Divine says, I can't believe you're streaming at this time. I always stream at this time. I'm very, 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 very... I'm a night owl. I sleep... I usually go to bed like 5 in the morning. That's my normal bedtime. 5 a.m. We might even take a little ride. You know, I always think about this when I go live. We might just take a little ride down to Nancy Guthrie's house here. Maybe if I'm up early, which I probably won't be, like till 6, 7 in the morning. We'll go on down to Nancy's house. Bear with me, chat. Bear with me. I'm trying to pull up the Chiznat here. I'm trying to take down this silly welcome thing that I got. It's not silly, but you know, take it down. Anyway, I want to start out with this video with Nancy Grace, because she had interesting chilling theory. I thought it was, at least. Like I said, it was from a gentleman named The Real Jim Duffy, and he seemed like he had a really good, interesting theory. But I'm gonna let her coast through we'll coast through her video here, because it's something that she's gonna talk about in the beginning here that we definitely need to hear, that we may all learn that's new in this investigation now. So let's check it out. Everything is zoomed out. I gotta fix everything here. God, Juice, what are you doing, bro?
Amidst allegations, a recall effort is underway on Nanos. Is he focusing on the Nancy Guthrie case? We also learned tonight that there is a possibility more Google images are to come. We were told by Nanos at the get-go, yeah, no video, she didn't have a subscription. And then bam, somehow, out of literally trillions of data points, Google makes a save and finds this video. And not just this video from the night Miss Guthrie was kidnapped, but get video from an earlier date. We believe January 11, where the same guy, you can tell by his gait, his weight, his height, same outfit. It's not a twin, it's him. Is very casually casing.
So she's saying that they have more footage and that they put out this footage to just only, I think they're assuming that they put this footage out there because this was the best footage that they had to give everybody an image of, the actual suspect. I believe, but I don't know. It's just my opinion. However, I think that they do have more video. If they were able to dig this far, I think whatever it was, whether it was codes or whatever it was, I think they were able to put in the rest to, get the rest of the video. I can't wait to show y'all this theory that she shows on this live that Nancy was doing here, because it may change your theory. Who knows? But y'all gotta see this. Y'all gotta watch this.
Miss Guthrie's
Justice,
home.
what up? Sometimes
This
I think the
freak
FBI
was outside.
made that decoy. I don't think so. I think maybe. I honestly think, well, no, that can't be possible. Yeah. But the crazy part about it is, what's weird to me is, so Nest or Google, whatever you want to call them, they're sitting there, they're looking through, whatever they got to do to find this video. Perhaps when they find a video, does photos come up too? Or did they go through just a stream of photos and stumble across this one that matched this guy here? I don't know, but from what I'm hearing, from what I heard, they confirmed that this was January 11th. And that's what everybody's saying as well. So I believe that's January 11th. But I just don't know why they didn't give us more photos. Why not give us more photos? It's definitely more revealing when we're looking at the perp and the video, we're watching the video. There are definitely more revealing features about the perp, because you see, like, when it's paused, it's definitely way more pixelated versus when it's moving. You obviously could see the perp better. Justice, big welcome back. I hope I didn't wake y'all up. I hope y'all are just awake, and y'all ain't got nothing to do. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I know I stream super late for a lot of y'all, but good morning if you're just waking up. Good morning. Yo, thanks a lot, Justice. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you could see me blush, it would be purple, but you can't, so I'm joking.
Her home, checking it out. Jan 11. If it weren't for Google, we wouldn't know this, opening up countless possibilities of other evidence, probative evidence, cell phone data, door cam, you name it, from Jan 11. And joining us right now, a special guest, it's Ari Redboard. Ari Redboard is the Global Head of Policy, Government Affairs, TRM Labs, the blockchain intelligence company. He is a former...
Big welcome to those of y'all tuning in. I forgot to say hello to everybody in the chat. I never forget. I never forget. Trust me, I never forget. I was joking. I didn't forget. What? Me? Forget? Ah, man. Not at all. Never. Strawberry, what's up, by the way? Nancy had a camera inside her home, she says, garage facing out above her vehicle. No mention on that camera or that it was removed or broken. And Nancy used her tablet to watch cameras where the tablet. I don't know about that part. I've never heard that part as far as Nancy, watching her cameras through the tablet. But maybe you know a little bit more than I do. Because I can't honestly say I know every single thing about this investigation. But if that's true, then, Well, first of all, I would only assume that they were including the garage when they said that the cameras in the home were all broken. And I think if that, I don't even know that there's other cameras that were in the actual home. They may have just mentioned in the home and only meant the garage, but I don't know. I honestly don't think she had cameras all through the home. I would only assume there was one in the living room, in the garage, if there were two in the home. But from what I heard, they were all destroyed. These guys were smart. They took all of those cameras, but I think a lot of the things the most thing that we question about the cameras is, well, that makes us kind of uneasy about the situation. It makes our minds wonder is the fact that the person knew exactly where these cameras were at. You know, it took them almost no time. I mean, 41 minutes is a good amount of time to look around, or really short to me to really confirm where all the cameras are at, because not all people put cameras in a spottable area. So that's what really gets interesting to me with the cameras. But I think that they meant that that camera was destroyed in the garage when they mentioned the home. See, that's another thing. They weren't very specific as well. I mean, Nanos came out and said a lot. He actually talks too much, but we'll talk about that later. Handsome, big welcomes. Oh, I thought Justice was calling me handsome. Oh man, I'm sorry guys. She was talking to Handsome. I'm sitting here like, thank you. Oh my God. Strawberry says there was a photo of Savannah and Nancy. The tablet was open in the background, and it had Nancy's car in the garage on it, on camera view. Yeah, I just don't know if that one was destroyed or not. I think the blood rings are from her walking stick. So Justice thinks that she was walking out or walked out and was assisted to walk out. Interesting. You know, oh man, I just can't wait to play this theory. I cannot wait to play it. Big welcomes Pam, by the way. Pam says, let's chat it up. Yes. Big salute, Wild Country. Big salute, yo. Man, I don't even know how Wild Country knew I saluted. Sounds like Wild Country might be like he might have been here a long time ago or something when I used to do some gaming.
Assistant U.S. Attorney in the D.C. jurisdiction and former senior advisor to the Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence. You can find him at trmlabs.com. I want to talk to you about what we are learning tonight, that there are other images. They're trying to save them as we go to air tonight. How can that be?
You know, Nancy, it's extraordinary. And when I first saw those videos a few weeks ago, it took my breath away. This idea that there could be no subscription, the actual camera could have been disabled, and Google is still able to generate these really extraordinary, chilling images, just to me speaks to the ability of the private sector in many respects. Here, Google's the example, to have just an extraordinary amount of data that can be used in these cases. Look, I think if and it'll be when this case is ultimately solved, it will be because of the digital evidence in the case, whether it's cryptocurrency tracing or whether it's this type of evidence from Google. And to me, it's just extraordinary.
Ari, how are they doing it? And if they are doing it, why don't we already have it?
Look, it's really hard to say. They're obviously they obviously have this data in various servers. You know, is it taking significant time to find it? Likely. I quite frankly can't believe that it exists at all in many respects. And
you know, to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if Sheriff Nanos was. I wouldn't even be surprised if the family, signed a signature for Nanos to be recalled. I would not be surprised. But, obviously I doubt they went down there and did that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Handsome says, point all the fingers on Nanos about this case. Yeah, I could agree we could do that for sure. The incompetence Nanos, man, tell me about it. Tell
I
me
said when I
about
first
it.
saw this video, it really took my breath away. The fact that we're now able to get this type of information, even without a subscription, even when this machine is disabled, it ultimately could be what cracks this case.
Okay, Ari Redboard, you are the expert. I hate to throw you in the same pot to stew with Nanos, who said, yeah, there's no video, she didn't have a subscription. But yet, there is. And we're learning there's more. And they're trying to rehabilitate it, resurrect it right now. There is more video. Now, do you believe, after your extensive work as an assistant U.S. attorney in D.C., that they have video and they're not releasing it for some reason?
Law enforcement is very usually thoughtful about the way they release information. Here they released that initial video because we needed an image of this individual to put out there in the world. They have that image out there. Assuming there's not a better image of this individual, then maybe these are really critical investigative leads that you don't necessarily want to share with the public. Law enforcement is always thinking about, what do we need to put out publicly to help our investigation from a crowdsourcing perspective, and what should we be holding back in order to not share what we have necessarily with the suspect and not hurt any other leads.
You know, another thing, Ari Redboard, joining us from TRM Labs, I believe that the reason
Strawberry says behind the scenes they know why.
Was pulled over.
I think they know a little bit
and
more,
questioned
but I don't know.
Was because he made multiple deliveries in Miss Guthrie's home. He's a delivery person. And they got that from CAST, Cellular Analysis Survey Team, by a data dump of all of the cell phones in that area. Then we have neighbors, so to speak, in the loose sense of the word.
Remember they put that I think it was something called a bureau or something like that. I'm not too sure what it's exactly called. I always get this wrong, but remember they put that out and they said they were able to track devices that were, well, cell phones that were in the area at the time that they believed that Nancy was taken out of her home. But then later we also learned that, it's not confirmed, but I think a lot of us know that, you know, we learned he either had a scanner, a walkie-talkie, or some type of Wi-Fi jammer, which to me, that's, you know, if I had to pick and it was multiple choice, A being, you know, the walkie-talkie, it would definitely be that versus all the others. Just because they didn't track any phones that led us up to finding the suspect. So I think that's pretty much common sense at that point, that it's a walkie-talkie, but that's just me. Behind the scenes, they know what, Strawberry? Good question. Oh, yeah, he did say they're just behind the scenes. I don't know exactly what he was referring to, but I kind of think I do. I think he's just saying that they know what happened at the scene, behind the scenes. Like they're, from what, you know, to roll off that, I'm going to say what I mean. I think that there is a possibility. I'm not saying that there is, but I think there is a possibility that Nanos could be covering something up. And I said this earlier. I think there's a possibility that Nanos could be covering it up. If him and Tommaso are actually friends, which I wasn't able to confirm, but if they are actually friends and Nancy never even, we'll get to that theory. But if they are friends, that's going to be interesting because they could have did this so smartly that, you know, we'll just get there. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Way down from Miss Guthrie, their vehicles were seized. They were rousted out of their home at night. They were also questioned and released because I think their cell phones had movement in those hours between, midnight and 4 a.m. I think that targeted them. Tell me what the FBI is doing now to track down any red flags in the cell phone data dump and the Wi-Fi data dump. It's happening right now. What are they doing, Ari?
They're doing a lot. They're looking at every possible piece of data that they can on any phone that they have associated with this. They're trying to triangulate location, right? It's not just the cell phones, it's where they're hitting off those cell towers. And essentially what you want to understand is, hey, who was in this location at this time based on this Nest Cam footage? And they're really trying to triangulate. Now, there's likely a lot of people who were in this general location. And that's why we've seen some of these stops. But the reality is those are going to continue.
Ari Redboard, you told us previously that you would need to see a substantial sum of money transferred from the Bitcoin account in order to track it. Well, I disagree because I think there are other ways to track it, but that's just me. When you say substantial...
Strawberry says they had locksmith at the home on multiple occasions, not doors replaced, no locks changed. Drilling was heard several times on the live by media. Nancy had something in her safe they wanted. So you think that this was a burglary gone wrong, Strawberry? Just curious because he said that there was something in the safe that they had made, that they had wanted. So sounds like he's leaning into more of the direction of the theory that it was a burglary pretty much gone bad.
How about a small amount of money? Why do you need a substantial amount of money to track the Bitcoin?
You need any amount of funds going into the account. However, what you're ultimately going to see there is likely funds going from an address controlled by the family or by a representative into that alphanumeric Bitcoin account that's in the ransom note. But that's all you'll see. Really, what's really critical is what happens next. Where does that address, that ransom address, send funds? Do we have attribution? In other words, have we associated that address with any illicit activity before? And then the real key happens. The breaks in these types of cases happen when funds go to a cryptocurrency exchange to cash out, right? Because the reality is that you can't really buy Bitcoin to buy anything in a meaningful way today. You need to convert it to more usable, cash, to currencies. And that's the key, because that cryptocurrency exchange has that underlying user information on the account, the name, the social security number, email accounts, telephone numbers. And that's when law enforcement really starts running with these other leads.
That from our friends at Fox News. Straight out.
Wow. So you mean to tell me, based on what he's saying right now, that the perp was able to, if the ransom was legitimate, the perp would have been able to retrieve the money without no trace? The only difference would be pretty much if he were to cash out, then that's where they would be able to track his location, I'm assuming. So this person could have a Bitcoin, some type of Bitcoin account under no name, no social security number, no nothing. No way. From what I heard, or from what I discovered online upon doing some research, was the fact that Bitcoin was highly traceable. So there's got to be a way, just like they pulled that video from Google, there's got to be a way that they'd be able to track where they sent the money. I mean, come on, that's I don't know about that one.
Out to Joe Scott Morgan joining us tonight, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, and star of a hit podcast, Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. But tonight, his purpose is as
Nanos caught at airport. Joanne says Nanos caught at airport with a unverified gun and 5 rounds inside and 5 extra ammo in his carry-on. Security investigates, not charged. Was this back in the day? At one point in time, because I know there were some stories that Nanos got in trouble back in the day and was suspended about 8 times a while back. Said she just watched it today. Wow. When did this happen? I don't want to get too caught up in that, but if that's today, that would be crazy if that was breaking. Just imagine that. I think that was probably a while ago, if that's true. Nanos says 100% Nano. Handsome says 100% Nanos is covering up for someone. Whew. It's a possibility. It is a possibility. I was just trying to read some of the chat. Oh man, no problem, Justice. I got you. I didn't know it was too. I thought it was too loud. Actually, thanks for letting me know. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss nothing in the chat here. But yeah.
A death investigator with over 10,000 death scenes under his belt. Notice I didn't say homicide scenes. It could be accidental causes. It could be natural causes like a heart attack, suicide,
I'll check
unexplained,
that out,
or, of course, homicide. I want to talk to you about Nancy Guthrie's bedroom. Could we please see the clip from the Today Show? This is one of Savannah's visits home. I want you to see that. Apparently, nothing was disturbed in the bedroom. Nothing turned over, nothing out of place. But interesting, I see a hardwood floor and a rug, as well as a comforter, which opens up countless possibilities for DNA evidence and more. This is from our friends at Today on YouTube. What about it, Joe Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. These are smooth, non-porous surfaces, excluding the rug. If you're looking at that floor, it could either be poured concrete or it could be hardwood in there. And yeah, we've talked about electrostatic lifts previously, in this particular area, if you could have gone in there and secured the scene to begin with, you could have done these lifts. And what I mean by securing the scene is the first thing that you do, Nancy, is when you see externally, and any investigator worth their salt knows this, you see blood or what appears to be blood deposition outside of the house. Guess what? In that moment, the entire scene is locked down. It is held. It is treated as a homicide. And let me tell you one more thing that just came to mind relative to this case. When we see
post a link in the chat if you would like, Joanne, because I don't know. I've never heard that person. Good morning, Gloria. Good morning. Happy Easter to everyone. Yes. Hope everybody has a good Easter today too.
See this guy stomping around outside and he's visible on that Nest Cam, Nancy, you know what I found? A major clue that has just arisen. That area outside on that front area, as you access the front door, Nancy, that's already broken down into grids for us. If they had locked down that scene, if they had secured that scene from Jump Street, they could have held that area. Do you see how this area is broken down into very specific grids? You can actually see where he places his feet.
Yes, you can.
If they had locked it down until they had this videography, that means nobody has access to this place. We watch where we put our feet. They could go back and do electrostatic lifts right there, and they could have maybe, just maybe, raised.
Yeah, I think this was about a month ago that Daphne's talking about, or I'm sorry, not Daphne. My God, I'm calling you the girl's name now. No, I think this was about a month ago, Joanne, that was talked about. I think I know who you're talking about. I think I've actually seen this girl before as well. She was saying that Nanos had got arrested at the airport for some guns that he had in his possession. Also covered up FBI out checking Blue Project under pipes being installed. I can see Nanos just looks like a guy that covers stuff up. I think so.
The shoe print out of that. But of course, that's all gone because they released the scene. So if they had held it for that moment in time, they could have done electrostatic lifts just within those grids and maybe have hit a jackpot.
Joe Scott, everywhere I go, I'm asked about Nancy Guthrie and the case. A common question is the blood on the front porch. Mm-hmm. What if Mrs. Guthrie was taking an anticoagulant? You know, there's so many of them. Eliquis, for one. That's one my dad was on. I don't think that would make a difference in the blood deposition. Or
Sherry,
am I
good morning.
wrong?
Welcome.
By the way, guys, this is from Fox News. Go ahead, Joe Scott.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Nancy. That's why our viewers are so bright, right? Because they think about all of these things, just like you. They kind of follow your lead here. Yeah, blood thinners is something we've talked about in forensics for some time relative to blood deposition. There was a major study that was done on warfarin, which is also known as Coumadin. People are very familiar with it. It's a real old drug. Guess what? There's no.
Is there that possibility, or is just that we don't have that possibility? I mean, come on. I think could be a possibility that they did a pretty good job, not making sure she didn't leak too much blood. But who knows? Who knows? Cindy says, in my opinion, it seems very strange why Savannah would put her mom and her bedroom on national TV, considering Nancy was taken from her bedroom in the early morning. I honestly, personally don't feel like the bedroom really shows much to really, and it was the fact that it was years ago, but who knows, people could be building up things, in through time, and maybe 10 years later they finally decide to do whatever they've been plotting, but I don't think that the room is very revealing to me. I just feel like the room, I think she's in a good spot in the room. It doesn't really kind of show what side of the house she's on. Now as opposed to, the fact that, if that room never changed, because people, keep their bed for years, then, that would definitely make it easy for someone going into her home to be able to identify that room. But I just don't think that really did much for someone going into her home. And there's other things as well. I think the fact that it's very dark, not outside, but I'm sure inside, because there were probably lights off. But, obviously the perp could have walked in and turned on all the lights. But, I mean, that guy looked like the boogeyman if that was the guy who actually went in and, removed Nancy from her home. But I just don't think that photo or, the video that she did was very revealing.
In order to thrive. But if she is bleeding at that moment in time, it's not going to necessarily impact the deposition of blood or change it. Now, what is interesting, though, and I've pointed this out before, and I think that maybe even Baden had alluded to this at one point in time, with those droplets that you see deposited on that front stoop, he recognized, as do I, that blood appears to be aerated. And the only way you get that is that if it's coming from the nasopharynx area. What does that mean? Well, it means the nose and the mouth. So that's going to have a significant difference in appearance, as opposed to, let's just say we get a cut on our arm or on the back of our hand. That blood's not aerated. Okay, that means that it doesn't have little oxygen bubbles in it. It just kind of drops away, and you get this kind of dark pattern with the blood. You can actually see serum separating after a period of time, but it's very, very dark. With aerated blood, you'll see little bitty oxygen bubbles contained within there, and sometimes it'll clear out in the center. And I think that's what I'm seeing based upon I'm roughly basing it.
I think if Tommaso was involved, he would have made sure that he wasn't caught on that camera. And I think if he was involved, then, perhaps he was inside the home and something did happen. I think that, I don't know. I don't know. Nothing about that perp to me in that video matches up with Tommaso. See, he would have definitely had to go under the radar. I just think if it had something to do with Tommaso, who knows? I can't even say that. I can't even say that. I can't really say that. Because in my opinion, I still feel like the family shouldn't have been cleared. But I do find myself like, you know what? Nah, I don't think the family has anything to do with it. Whether or not it's family related, sometimes I feel like that still, but then I don't. I don't know. I don't know anymore as far as the family. Yeah, Tommaso, if there's a possibility that he did do it though, or he has something to do with it, I think the only way that he could get away with it or have gotten away with this long, let's just say he did do it. Let's just pretend he did do it. The only way he would have got away with it not only this long, but get away with it, period, is if him and Sheriff Nanos were friends, I think. If they're really actually friends. But there also could be the possibility of him just getting away with it and him and Nanos just not being friends. But I think that would fit the theory more so than none, you know, in regards to him, you know, knowing Sheriff Nanos. But that's just me.
Upon the quality of that photograph, we have to understand that that is not a true crime scene photograph. So the quality is not still up to snuff, but it's what we have to work with. That looks like it came from the nasopharynx area, Nancy.
What do you make of questions regarding with her?
Yeah, and I hear a lot of people keep saying that they're gambling buddies, Joanne, but that's just crazy. If they're really gambling buddies, that's just crazy to me. I definitely can't overlook, because I did research, but I still can't really find nothing, you know, really saying that that's true for me to say that it's factual. And I really haven't heard any people like Nancy Grace say whether or not that they were gambling buddies. And maybe she did say that and I just missed it. But that's just me. Lisa says, how do you notice blood and still assume she just walked out in the middle of the night? I wonder if there has been any card activity in her account since she's been missing. I think they would have been on that if there were. But I mean, due to the fact that these guys missed a lot, I wouldn't put it past them that they're not even paying attention to her account or her phone. But I would only assume the family would be. And, you know, I would only hope they would be as well. But, you know, I don't know. I was trying to read this chat, but it's like a very long one. So it's very tough to read. I think, hold on, chat. It's a pretty long one there. City says, in my opinion, is very strange. Oh, no, it wasn't that one. Oh, God. I was trying to see which one it was. I don't know, I missed it because there's so many long chats. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people putting that theory out there, though, that she walked out in the middle of the night. Well, I think in the beginning they were saying that, and that's also me like questioning whether or not they were just trying to prolong this thing in the beginning. It's crazy that's how they said in the beginning. You know, I think that's what they thought that happened in the beginning, but obviously it didn't. It took them almost, 24 hours just to make this an actual crime scene, because I don't think it was a crime scene until February 2nd, I think. So, you know, it wasn't even a crime scene on the first initial day, and I think it was that following day that Brian was the one who discovered that blood on the porch. But I don't know the exact days, but I know that they definitely didn't make it a crime scene as soon as they should have. And we know that, like I said in the beginning of the stream, there was 2 incidents where the home was released back to the family, which is highly, highly questionable. just because of what, all went on. And the fact that they missed something, I think it should have been a crime scene even longer than it was the first time, just to make sure they didn't miss anything again. But it wasn't long before they released, before it was no longer a crime scene, although they did keep sheriffs sitting out in the front playing security. And then, 4 weeks into the investigation, they did finally release the home back to the family, but it wasn't still a crime scene because there was no tape for very long that second time. I don't even know how many hours they spent the second time around that they came back and made it a crime scene. That's not even, I don't even know if that's documented. And if it is, I'm sure it's documented, but to the public, I mean, I did research and it doesn't say how long it was a crime scene the second time, but the first time it says they held it about 32 hours, which is, I don't even know. I'm not in law enforcement or anything like that, and I don't know what the normal time, average time it would be. That, I guess it just depends on the homicide, but I think that they should have definitely kept it a crime scene for far much longer than they did, and it's just really a shame, and it's sad to see everything just go down the way it did. And then, in the process of the beginning, we also learned that the FBI and the sheriffs weren't getting along. It just sucked. It really did. To see no leadership coming from Nanos, just super, super selfish guy, and it's just sad. It's just sad.
And skin, and I saw this in my dad, and I'm seeing it now in my mom.
I'm sorry. There's some really long chats tonight, guys. Man, I think we just got thoughts rolling. Let me pull up my I'm sorry I keep stopping the video, but there's just so many long chats, and I like to try to get back to everybody. We'll let it play through after this one, but yeah, I'm up late. Charm. I'm sorry. I'm always up super, super late, by the way. Pam says the Juice Wires has everyone accepted that the blood on the front porch was from Nancy's being taken out. No streamers have even suggested that it could be from Nancy being dropped off at 9:45. Wow. I like that theory. I really do. Oh, I don't know. The only reason why, Pam, is because in the video, which I believe they know the time of that surveillance video, there was no blood. So if you watch that video and you can see the perp, you can clearly see at the very bottom, on the mat, you can see, you can really see the perp's feet. So I think, that kind of makes sense, in regards to what time or getting close to that actual time frame of when Nancy was taken. But that's why, I mean, there was no blood at that time when she was dropped off. I guess we could say that because in the video there was no blood when the perp was in front of the home. If that makes sense. And I was trying to find the surveillance video, but I guess I don't have it up. I'm unprepared today, am I? And I thought I had a better video for you guys, but I'll just pull up a short real quick. But anywho, in that video, if you look down at the bottom, I don't know if you notice, it's good to remind people because a lot of us miss stuff in this video. But when you're looking down at the bottom and you can see it on that left side over there, just look at the feet. There's no blood down there. Another thing that's been on my mind is the person that called the adult protection people, what made them call and report her well-being before she became missing. Nanos said it was after, but no. I'm not too sure about that. I don't want to give you the wrong information on that. From what I heard, though, was that had been there for a while, and that, it was a long time ago. But I've also heard other things as well. So I don't know. I don't know about but I know in the beginning, I do remember that with the Adult Protective Services thing and that card just sitting there on her front door. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that, so I don't want to really give the wrong information, but I've heard a couple different things on that. But anyway, the blood goes out all the way to the sidewalk, so you are able to see the blood on the porch there, for pretty much from wherever he's at in the video, for the most part, once he gets to the actual mat area. Well, I guess not right here, but when he walks away to grab the strub is where you'll notice that blood there, if it were to be there at that time. So we know the blood wasn't there after Nancy got dropped off. So I don't think there's a chance that she dropped blood before going in the home. So we know that for certain that the perp definitely exited out the front door. And I believe that person that he was with, whether it was people with him or not, that driver pulled up right there in the front of those steps right over there that dropped down into the driveway, and off they went. Whether or not Nancy was carried out or not is still yet to be confirmed.
Very often, and there's a photo of Nancy Guthrie sitting outside in a lounge chair, like a picnic chair. There it is. And you can see, especially on her left hand, that's where my dad had it a lot, the blood under the skin. Many people are asking, would the slightest nick, possibly transporting her out the door on her arm or leg or hand, could that have caused the bleeding, not an actual attack like a blow to the face?
I doubt it highly. Just looking at.
Yeah, Monk's Intrigue did put out a new video. Sherry, by the way. Yeah, I like Monk's Intrigue. I think a lot of us do. Yeah, I like it. I like his videos. They're great. Hi, Dina. What's up? Big welcomes. According to Nancy's astrology, around 4/13 and 15, there will be a big break in this case. Whoa, how do you know this? How do you know that? Wow. Obviously, Dina's got some sources. Is it your birthday, Convict Mo? BB Convict Mo, happy birthday if it's your birthday.
The blood deposition based upon the photographs I have to go on. I think that it would have more of a robust, a darker appearance to it. Perhaps if that had originated, say, from the back of the hand. And, as we all know, as we age, our skin and even our vessels become a bit more fragile. That's the reason we have these what appear to be contusions that kind of appear on our skin, appear more robust. And we also get swelling. You can see her ankles. You can see the backs of her hands. So that all comes with aging, Nancy.
If you have been
Nancy,
leaning on
nobody wants to hear this, Nancy.
there are no upfront fees, because you can America's Home for or do not send your theories, your questions, your musings, your pontifications, certainly not your clairvoyant thoughts. No, that is slowing down the tip line. Do not call that in.
And I've been saying this, guys. I have been saying this over and over again. There are going to be so many tips that are not. They're no use. They're nothing. They lead to nothing. They're just tips that are just thrown out there. Like, some people are just putting out tips that just aren't tips. Like, some people really just don't have any sense. So I think that there's going to, I think a majority of those tips are not tips that are going to lead us up to finding Nancy or the perp. So please, if you have tips, give tips that are actually worthy. Don't just give tips because you want to get lucky and win the $1 million that's out there, or $1.2 million reward. Give good, worthy tips, because otherwise you're just making it longer and take longer for however they're going down the list of tips that they have, or whether or not there's several people working on it together to, figure out what tip that's going to, what tips is going to give them the most information, or whatever it is that's going to lead them to finding Nancy and the perp. Just saying that I know for a fact there's going to be a lot of tips that are just not worthy of being, anything at all.
For instance, here's one. I pray it wasn't called in. Listen.
Okay, I don't think Nancy
All right,
Guthrie.
so listen to this guy. He has a really, really good theory that might just change your theory a little bit, or just might come off as bogus to y'all. But listen to this.
Was kidnapped. The last people to see her alive were her daughter and her son-in-law. Tommaso, the son-in-law, supposedly dropped her off at her home. But what if that didn't really happen? What if there was some kind of an argument at the house, and it got very, very heated, and someone did something, whether it be the daughter or the son-in-law, and Nancy Guthrie died. They hatched this scheme to call this to make it look like a kidnapping.
Okay. That's disturbing on so many levels. That's from The Real Jim Duffy.
The volume's a little low on that video, I'm not going to lie, but let's listen to it one more time.
Guthrie was...
I pray it wasn't called in. Listen.
Okay, I don't think Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped. The last people to see her alive were her daughter and her son-in-law. Tommaso, the son-in-law, supposedly dropped her off at her home. But what if that didn't really happen? What if there was some kind of an argument at the house, and it got very, very heated, and someone did something, whether it be the daughter or the son-in-law, and Nancy Guthrie died. They hatched this scheme to call this to make it look like a kidnapping.
Interesting. That's highly possible. That's a good theory. Although I don't agree with that theory, but it's possible. I thought that, I was saying, what if somebody was upset, like Annie and Tommaso, and they were arguing, and then, Nancy obviously felt like she needed to get over there quickly because she's the only one that could calm, Annie down. If Annie, Annie could have issues. She could get really angry, and Tommaso may have trouble calming her down, maybe. Or maybe Tommaso gets crazy, and, she need to get over there to make sure her daughter was okay. I don't know. But I think also another question would be, what was stopping Nancy from taking the Uber back home, though? Why didn't she take the Uber back home? They made her take the Uber to Tommaso's house, knowing that she has trouble, getting to the mailbox. Why would you make her get into the Uber car? If she has trouble getting to the mailbox, she probably has trouble getting into an Uber car. I think there's a lot of interesting questions that we need answers right now for, like right now. But is there a possibility that Tommaso, did this and he never dropped her off at home? Well, he did, but, things went down at the house, and Tommaso and Nancy maybe had an argument. And did Annie ride with Tommaso and Nancy that night when they took Nancy home? Did Annie ride along with them? There's a lot of questions to ask, and it's just sucks that we don't know.
Okay. That's disturbing on so many levels. That's from The Real Jim Duffy at TikTok. But at least he's thinking through the facts and coming up with this theory. Maybe I'm wrong. Straight out to Dr. Bethany Marshall joining us, renowned psychoanalyst out of the LA jurisdiction. She is the author of Deal Breakers, and you can see her now on Bravo as well as Peacock, and find her at drbethanymarshall.com. Dr. Bethany, maybe I'm wrong, but haven't they been cleared? LE said they're clear, they're not suspects. They reportedly passed polygraphs and their vehicle has been returned. So why? Why is this still happening?
Why did we learn so late that they passed a polygraph? Like, we really didn't know right away whether or not they took polygraphs. We had a bunch of media. JLR was one of them, out in front of the sheriff's station waiting to see if they were going to come, or to see who was coming in for a polygraph. I think that they knew that, so they went ahead and did the polygraph somewhere else. They definitely didn't do the polygraph at the sheriff's station, because we would have had guys, obviously recording the family going in, if they actually took it. I mean, I guess according to Nancy Grace, they took it because she said it was reported, so I can only assume that they did. So yeah, and then but there's also people could beat polys. Polys, from what I heard, aren't all that difficult to beat if you know what you're doing. So I mean, who knows, guys? This case is so everywhere and crazy that, it's got us thinking all kind of things, really. All these camera smashes are jammed up, and it's so planned. That it's so planned. Wow. I could see that, though. I mean, to me, I feel like I know it's targeted for sure. I agree that it's targeted, at least. Well, I think it was targeted. I don't know if it was planned, but there's a possibility. There's a big possibility that it was. Convict says, I was really into this case, watched for hours, then I'm like, nothing's happening, so I quit watching. Yeah, it's easy to get overwhelmed. I mean, it's frustrating. Just with the technology that we have, you would only think that we would be a lot further than we are now. Just reading some of these comments here in the chat here. The polygraph press is bogus. Any authorities would advise against that. Personally, for me, I wouldn't have took it. I don't trust polys. I'm not really into poly. I'm not big on it. I'm not someone who really believes in the poly. I don't know. I've just never liked it at all. They certainly did do their homework. A lot of people thought that the perp would be caught a whole lot sooner. Yeah, Shari says, I can't believe there have been no answers yet. Nanos did not study the poly. I think Nanos should take the poly. In my opinion, they need to just get that guy in there for the poly. Investigate Nanos. Poly lie? Yeah, I mean, definitely a possibility that one of the family members could have perhaps beat the poly. If Savannah had something in Nancy's safe, only a handful of people would have known that. Indeed, like I said, if that's true, that would change things a lot. I don't know where you heard that, though. Yeah, Nelson, I'm interested in the case as well. I'm highly invested. It's a very, very interesting case. I'm obsessed. It's just crazy, and I just can't believe it's happening in my city. Like I just can't believe it. Alicia says, big welcome to Alicia, by the way. I haven't seen Alicia here. How did the perp and perps know no one was staying in the guest house? That's what I said today. Wow. That's crazy you brought that to my attention here in chat, because I said that earlier. You could go view it on the live. I literally just said that hours ago. that JLR just recently put out a picture of the videos, or I'm sorry, not the videos, of the there was a picture inside of the house, and it's kind of like facing the outside, the back. It's kind of facing the backyard. And there's also another photo with the guest house. There's a picture of the guest house where you can kind of see Nancy's got this little like a little waterfall looking thing with like a bench next to it. And you can see that in the guest house, and the curtain's wide open. And I said, you know, the only way the perp would have known inside, if there was someone inside the guest house, even though we don't know what it looks like looking inside of the guest house, you know, I'm assuming that since there were people that lived in the guest house, there was a bathroom inside of the guest house too. With that being said, you know, they really can't look in to see if there's somebody in there, because that person could have been in the bathroom at the time that they went in there. But that's very interesting that, you know, we have no idea, you know, we just don't have any idea whether or not how the perp knew that there was nobody in the guest house. And, you know, due to the fact that it doesn't seem like it was touched or checked at all. They don't really talk about the guest house very much. So I'm just assuming that the guest house wasn't even tampered with at all. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have said it. But yeah, how do you stage, you know, because obviously this guy visited this home at other times. How did he know, even just upon coming prior to the actual kidnapping, how did he figure out that no one was in the guest house, you know? It's really odd, you know. It doesn't take, I don't know if it'll take me a week to determine whether or not no one's in the guest house. This is a snowbird city. I mean, these guys leave at certain times and come back when it's real cold up east. So I don't know, Chad. What do y'all think? This is crazy. And that's the picture right there of the guest house. And you can see into the yard. Then you've got another image where Nancy's cane is just, you know, it looks like in her room, because I think there's a sliding glass door in her room, and, you know, you can see her cane. It looks like Nancy used the cane. It's a it's one of the canes. It's not just a regular cane. It's the cane with the 4 stands on it. I can't remember. It's a quad cane is what I want to call it. But that's the cane. And like I said, if these pictures are recent, that would mean the perp could look in and check to see even if Nancy's in her room, if this is how she keeps her windows open. I mean, I hope that Nancy doesn't keep her windows open like this, because if she does, anybody could just look right in. So that's a picture, and I don't know if it's recent. I don't know who got that picture. I don't know how they got that picture. But that is interesting right there. So big shouts to JLR for getting these pictures, because I believe that's definitely Nancy's backyard. We gotta type that in so we got this locked in on here so y'all can see what we're talking about here. So this is from the guest house, guys. And I was meaning to show this the other day because I stumbled across it on JLR's, I believe his ex. What a picture, though. What a picture. What do y'all think, chat? I mean, that's crazy. So, and these are from JLR's ex. Sherry says the ones JLR got was from a previous renter's daughter. I can only assume the doors were propped open to drag someone out. Maybe so. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that they went out the back. I think their entry was the back and the exit was the front. Especially if the perp was by himself. That would be a really dumb idea to carry her through the back and pretty much all the way to the front. But also, guys, he wouldn't really necessarily be carrying her all the way to the front, so I take that back, because Nancy's driveway goes all the way pretty much to that. Well, it does. It goes all the way to the guest house. So yeah, they could have easily taken Nancy out the back, which, you know, would have definitely been where I would feel less seen. However, I don't think that she was taken out the back. I think she was taken out the front, no doubt about it. I think the picture with the cane is Nancy's room. Because from what I heard, Nancy's room is the part of the house that has a sliding glass door. Don't quote me on it, because I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it is. So anyway, yeah, I've been waiting to show you guys these pictures, and, you know, I know a lot of you guys probably discovered this on JLR's Live, but I thought that was super interesting, getting to see that view, even though we've seen many views. But, you know, the guest house was crazy. I wish they would have stood back a little bit further so we could get a real good view of that guest house there. That was crazy. Just crazy.
Nancy, of course they've been cleared. Of course it's not the family. This has been going on for some time. But with this TikToker, I see a certain sort of arrogance, a high estimation of his own beliefs and theories, a low level of regard for critical thinking. I see something called proportionality bias. And what that means is, if it's a big event, it must have a big explanation.
Convict says, come on, people, please, come on, people, use your head. Why wouldn't Annie and Tommaso call Savannah before the cops and be like, Mom, with you? Has she text you, said she's going somewhere before cops? People think, hey, Convict, I like what you're talking. I like how you're talking right now. You know what? You just gave me the goosebumps right now, bro. You really literally just gave me the goosebumps right now. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can't even see it. I'm too black. I'm sorry, but you gave me the goosebumps, bro. I mean, some things you hear in this investigation are like chilling, bro. They're chilling. And that's why I wanted to play that guy's theory tonight, because it was just a chilling theory. It just gave you thought, and there's just so many perceptions that people have that really just give us, you know, a different way of thinking about this investigation. And it's just so hard to like grasp a theory and really hold on to it and really believe it, because there's so many things constantly changing in this investigation, and it's just forever interesting, like, and it just feels like it's gonna go on forever and be a never-ending thing. I know that's a lot, guys, but that's how mind-boggling this investigation is, guys. It's crazy. It really is.
If there's a tornado, it's because God is mad at us. If somebody goes missing, it's because it's a vast right-wing conspiracy. You know, most people are frightened at the thought that something really horrible could happen to their loved one, their family member, their child, their parent. And maybe it's just random. Maybe it's because there's one or two bad people in the world, not that there's this big, huge theory that makes it all simple and makes it all go away.
What did you call that? What was the term you just used, Dr. Bethany?
Proportionality bias, meaning if it's a big event, Nancy Guthrie going missing, there has to be a huge explanation. The idea that it could be a big event, Nancy Guthrie goes missing, but it's a simple or random explanation. For example, this may sound silly. A new kitty cat I have went missing 5 days ago. I decided that she'd gotten out a window, that coyotes had eaten her, that I was a bad person. I fell into a depression. Then friends and I found that she had just crawled into a little drawer. So my
Oh, she's
mind,
talking about,
in
okay.
order to secure myself in that situation, came up with this huge theory that made me feel like, I don't know, somehow in a strange way safer, that things don't happen randomly, other than my little fluff ball just climbed into a drawer and couldn't get out. It was a really simple explanation. I think that's what we're going to find at the end of the day. It's a pretty simple explanation driven by normal human motivations like attachment and greed, and somebody who is targeting Nancy in a way that's fairly predictable, and we see at all levels of society.
Wow. The way you explained that was very helpful. Also joining me, in addition to Dr. Bethany Marshall, is
Joanne says it's not this complicated. I think that, and if you're talking to me, you might be talking to somebody in the chat, but it kind of reminds me. I think that, you know, there is a lot of things that could be simple in this investigation, but there are also things that do complicate this investigation. It's tough. It is tough. But they are saying, I've heard a lot of people say that it is more simple than, you know, it's more it might be more simple than what we think it is, you know. But it's just so hard. It's just hard. It really is. Convict says you don't go home after your house been all over TV and sleep when papers have been caught. Yeah, I mean, I think they were also with Savannah for a while, you know, and she said in the interview they had to go, and I don't know if she was just talking about her and her family, but I would assume Annie was staying with her for a little bit when they had got the Airbnbs. I think they were going from place to place, or they went to a couple different Airbnbs because media was catching up to them. But, yeah, what an investigation. What a kidnapping this is. It's just crazy. C-Bon, I'm trying to get back to some of these chats here. I think that the picture with the cane is sliding door at the front of the guest house that leads out to the driveway. By the garage, he says. You can see that sliding door from the street. I was asking that earlier on stream if that was a sliding glass door. Maybe it was the one that I was looking at. But if that's the case, then why does it look like that there's dirt in the back? It doesn't really look like a street. It looks like more so like the side of her yard or the backyard, because you can't see the road in that picture with the cane. There's no road, there's no driveway. Maybe I'm overthinking it. It does kind of look like it's a driveway, but I don't know. On the particular part of the let me trying to pull up my arrow here. There's like a step, like almost as if it's a porch or something like that. And I don't recall there being anything like this in the front. So I thought, I would assume that it's her, you know, the back, or I'm sorry, her room in the back, because her room has a side door, or not the room, but it looks like there's a side door on the side of the house, or pretty close to a side door on that left side of the house if you're facing the house, but I could be wrong.
Brian Fitzgibbons, Director Operations USPA Nationwide Security. He leads a team of investigators around the world finding and extracting missing people. He is a former Marine and an Iraqi war vet. What about this? I get everything Bethany just said, but what about cold hard evidence disproving this conspiracy theory? One, according to reports from law enforcement, Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker spiked and disconnected around 2 a.m., which means she did return home from dinner the night before and was in her home and her pacemaker was working. And then there is the porch guy video. That happened. Google does not have a dog in this fight. They did not make that up. He was there around 2 a.m. the night of the kidnap. Can't fight with that.
Yeah, this theory blows past a number of things that we know to be facts in this case. And beyond the facts that you just mentioned, I think we're all aware, and anybody who follows your show is well aware, that family members are under the highest level of scrutiny from law enforcement when any missing person case. Okay, so with all the resources.
Yeah, Alicia, I got to stop it there. Alicia says that the timeline is shit. Yeah, you know, we got to stop being so in tune to this timeline, guys, because this timeline is not 100% legitimate. This is just based off of everything that we've gathered publicly for the most part. I really don't know if this timeline is really legitimate, guys. But a lot of people are following this timeline a little too much. But just keep in mind that this timeline is not factual at all. It's pretty much, and I don't even know who came up with this timeline. I really don't. But there's a possibility that it could be relatively close. But then there's also a possibility that it might not be. So, yeah, just to tell you, this timeline is not a legitimate timeline. Pick with walking stick is like 8 years old. Oh, okay, so that's an old picture. What about the one in the guest house is what I'm wondering. I wonder how old that picture is. And I just hope that she doesn't regularly leave her blinds open like that in that picture, because it just looks like, just seeing two parts of her home with blinds open, it almost makes me wonder if that's how she kind of keeps her, there's nothing wrong with keeping it open, but I just would only hope that she doesn't just, I don't know. That's a tough one. I just don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't like leaving stuff open like that. Especially if I'm not there. I feel like you should close your blinds when you leave home, especially if you're gone for long periods of time. So now I feel like Nancy's older, so she would be home more so often than none, but you're living alone. You got to close that stuff. If you can't just leave your blinds open all day. But maybe it's just a moment in time where there are just two pictures that, she just so happened to have her blinds open. Yeah, in the daytime, open the blinds. In the daytime, for sure, I guess. But we got the blinds open in the guest house, though. She doesn't live in the guest house. That's what I'm saying. She doesn't even live in the guest house. So why would the blinds be open in the guest house? There were people that lived there, I believe. I heard there were some people that rented it. But the weird evidence we have kind of points in the direction of it being built around the family and it potentially being family related, or someone in the family told somebody something. Someone knows something, and we don't know if it's the family or not. But the fact that there are certain things that don't make sense, I have to say right now that it's definitely targeted, and there is a possibility that the family could be involved. Although, I could be wrong. I'm not saying that the family's involved. I'm just saying that there's a possibility. Just because the guest house was never checked from what we heard. I mean, we haven't heard anything about the guest house. I don't think anybody ever confirmed whether or not the perp checked the guest home to make sure no one was in there. They just knew. I can honestly just say that the perp just knew no one was in the guest home. I mean, I guess I got to assume that, but I just can't. You know, they would have to know. Somebody casing a home is making sure they're clear. You know, somebody going and checking and visiting a home before actually committing a highly high crime, they obviously had to confirm somehow, some way that there were no one living in that guest house. And if they didn't, then obviously there's someone in the family or a family friend or someone who knows Nancy everything about her home. It can't be anything else.
Resources of the FBI, all the resources of Pima County, and we have statements from Sheriff Nanos, from
take care, Handsome.
direct
thanks for
from
tuning
the
in. I appreciate
source
you.
that they have been cleared in this case. I think it's time that narrative can be put to bed once and for all.
I hope, Fitzgibbons, that you and Dr. Bethany are sitting down. You may have to lay down for this. You mentioned the family. Well, Christy at 125-12382 says, I still believe members of the family has something to do with this lady's disappearance. That's why no suspect apprehended. The culprit is right under their noses. And she extrapolates. Right here. Check it out. There's something about those eyes. I see nothing about those eyes that are even remotely similar. So let me throw this to Fitzgibbons and Dr. Bethany. Have you heard the old story about the 5 blind guys asked to describe what is before them? And they feel and feel and feel, and they all describe something vastly different. Why? One is rubbing the elephant's ears. One, his trunk. One, his hoof. One, his tummy. And one, his tail. In other words,
I don't understand what
they
Nancy
are
was saying here.
extrapolating based on the little information they have. So I am not faulting the real Jim Duffy or Christy Kerr. They're going on the little bit of information they've got. They don't have the whole picture. Neither do we. But you know what? I got to give them this much. They're trying. They are trying to solve the mystery. Okay, that said, they're totally wrong, but they're trying. Let's listen to this one. The feds are sneaky, according to the Broken Place TikTok. Listen.
Anybody else keeping up with the Nancy Guthrie? That video that came out of that door cam, it looks staged, y'all. But the feds are real sneaky. And I have a feeling, I don't know what they're after or what they're doing, but...
Again, extrapolating. The 5 blind...
What
And
the
this-
feds
to this place TikTok.
This kind of
Listen.
plays back to,
Anybody?
you know, when I was saying that be careful what you listen to, try to, you know, stick to the facts. Not only that, it kind of plays back into the tips that I was saying, that people shouldn't just be giving out tips that aren't really worthy of us, you know, potentially catching our, you know, suspect or finding Nancy. Be careful with some of these theories, because some of these theories will not only have you thinking, but they're just wrong. They're just wrong. And look at this lady. I mean, come on. I mean, but her theory is not bad. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but just some theories are just like bizarre to me.
Anybody else keeping up with the Nancy Guthrie? That video that came out of that door cam, it looks staged, y'all. But the feds are real sneaky. And I have a feeling, I don't know what they're after or what they're doing.
I like her theory. Nancy Grace doesn't like her theory, but I really actually like it, though. Because, like I said, I think Nanos could have something to do with it, though. So, yeah, I mean, and I know I'm kind of contradicting myself a little bit here, but I think that there is a possibility that it could be staged, but it's not. I don't think it's staged. You know, it's obviously targeted, and they had a plan because we have the suspect visiting the home at a different time. So, which could, you know, still say that it was staged, but I don't think it was staged, not at all. But like I said, there could be a possibility. Tommaso brought her home, and you know something happened, and then they came up with this plan where they were going to go. And that's a lot of thinking, though. They would have to put way more thought into this if they were to like try to cover up something. And I think something is much tougher to cover up once you make a mistake than it is with you going in and just, you know, with the plan that you already have. I don't know. It just sounds like it would just be more work involved with them having to stage it versus someone just doing the job that we see that's occurring now. And it's lasted how many days? 63 days, 64 days now. So yeah, I don't think I don't think it's staged. There's no way.
But
Again, extrapolating the 5
They thought of a master plan, like, you know what, let's get in front of the camera and play with some strub real quick. Come on, lady.
blind guys in the elephant. Dr. Bethany, she's seen the porch guy and she mistrusts the federal government. I mean, who doesn't? Really? That goes way, way, way back. So she's taking those two true facts and turning it into, what was that? The FBI director, was that Kash Patel out there?
Hey, Strawberry, you got a solid point. I'm sorry I keep stopping the video, guys. But yeah, you got a solid point, Strawberry. He says they didn't make any mistakes. Who you think that could pull that off? And the first person that I think of that comes to mind when you ask that question is the police. The police, the sheriff department. I think they could be the closest thing besides somebody's that would be a professional, and even they make mistakes. But you know, you got, I just think that so far this guy hasn't made any mistakes, which would make this a perfect crime. But yeah, the first person that comes to mind to me is the police department, the sheriff that would know how to get away with this. But in the beginning, they called this guy an amateur for the perp that we see in front of this, you know, camera, grabbing shrub and whatnot, you know, because he has, obviously, he's doing amateur moves. And then there's, you know, amateur things to point out about him, like the gun being right in front of his waist, just above his crotch. So, yeah, I mean, definitely a possibility that the sheriff could have came through, and they would be the only ones. They would be the only ones that could do this. So, I mean, who knows?
So she's taking those two true facts and turning it into, what was that? The FBI director, was that Kash Patel out there on Nancy Guthrie's front porch with a balaclava on? I mean, that you have to follow it through to its logical conclusion. What is she trying to say? That the feds faked this whole thing?
Well, I think what you see here is massive distrust for political institutions, which I think we all share, especially right now. So there's that. And with the 5 blind guys, they're extrapolating from what they see right in front of them. What if these conspiracy theorists are extrapolating from their own history? For instance, the one who thinks it's the government, maybe she's going through a tax audit. The one who thinks that the family members did it, maybe she had a toxic relationship with the family member. Maybe she had a fight the night before where she screamed at her spouse, "I wish you were dead." So somehow these personal experiences then creep their way into the conspiracies. And I think furthermore, Nancy, all of these TikTokers, I want you to look at their faces when we hear what they're saying. They are so certain that what they're thinking or saying is true, which suggests to me a need to create order in their world, certainty, certitude, that whatever they're thinking.
Is it Tomax? I don't know how to pronounce your name. I might have said that incorrectly. However, I don't think that was a radio for if you're referring to a police scanner, I don't think that was a police scanner that was on the perp. I think it was a walkie-talkie so he could communicate with the driver. I don't think he would have needed a walkie-talkie to communicate with someone in the home. I think it would be more so the driver. but there's a possibility because the home is 3,000 square feet from what I learned. But I just don't see them needing to be able to communicate through a walkie-talkie within inside of the house. I think that also makes me wonder whether or not that this perp could have done this by himself, because, you know, for somebody inside of the home, why would you really need a walkie-talkie to communicate with your buddy just right across the hall or right next to you? There's only one person in the home. One. Yeah, and like, I just really think that there's a really big possibility this guy could have did this alone, and we're all fooled, because a lot of people are I think a majority of people would say that this guy did not act alone. I really do. But for me personally, I'm not looking past that, because she's a little old lady. She's 150 pounds, and we know dead weight weighs a lot. But he could have very much so pulled this off by himself, guys. He could have pulled this off by himself. The door isn't that far away to drag a person, although we know he didn't drag her. But it's also not that far away to carry a person, especially with my adrenaline on 1,000 miles an hour. I'm going to be a lot more stronger than I am on a normal. I have a sense of urgency. I want to get out of there. I got possibly a dead body if that's what went down. And if it's not, it's going to be, because we know that obviously their intent was not to keep Nancy alive, unless that's what actually went wrong. But the intent, I think, was a warning shot. I think something may have happened and they wanted to send a message, you know, and who knows what that is? Who knows what that is? He definitely was a stocky guy. He wasn't the smallest of the smallest, that's for sure. He was 5'9", 5'10", from what the FBI are saying. But for all we know, he could have been taller and much larger than he appears on the camera. So it's tough.
Is true and correct, which leads, as you know, Nancy, to too heavy.
Strawberry says he thinks it was a police scanner and not a radio. I don't think while I'm taking a person out the home that I have the time to sit there and listen to a police scanner hoping that I hear it. But I mean, maybe you would, because it's quiet. There's probably no TV on. There's only one person in the house. Yeah, I could see it. But why need it if, you know, there's not much attention going on in that neighborhood at night anyways? I mean, perhaps you get seen. Yeah. I mean, you know what's crazy is a lot of people talk about the lady in the neighborhood by the name of Sue Ellen, and Sue Ellen seems to be a very nosy lady and doesn't really like people in her neighborhood. And I'm surprised Sue Ellen, being that nosy lady that she is, didn't see anything going on in front of Nancy's home in the middle of the night, since she seems to be worried about all these neighbors and media attention that she's getting. She should feel safe because we're there. She should not feel like we need to leave, with us being, you know, there covering the Nancy Guthrie case, trying to help bring awareness to this thing and find the perp and Nancy. I just don't get it. But yeah, I just thought I'd say that. But anyway, yeah, let me continue this.
A reliance on intuition, bordering on I'm psychic and I know better than everybody else because I have some inner little voice that's prompting me forward. But pay no attention to the truth, because I mistrust that.
Okay, another one that you and Fitzgibbons may have to lay down for before you hear it, but I warned you. Listen.
So Nancy Guthrie, do you have any message to Savannah?
I don't know if you guys seen this, but I seen this and I thought it was real creepy.
So Nancy Guthrie, do you have any message to Savannah or to your family? Miss you. And I pray that there's a resolution to this, hopefully one with a happy ending. I don't know that that is going to be the case at this point, but at least closure for your family, okay?
It's very rare that I can't think of something to say.
Yo, even Nancy just paused right now. Oh my God. She didn't even know what to say. That was epic, 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 epic. That was just great.
It's very rare that I can't think of something to say, whether it's completely off point or inappropriate, but that has left me almost speechless. That's from Hope Paranormal on TikTok. Fitzgibbons, was he actually pushing a button to make the recording the voice?
Well, thanks to Nancy, Hope on TikTok probably just got like 10,000 more subscribers or followers because she put this video out on her platform. So, man, you know, Nancy, you got to give Nancy some credit. I mean, even though she's pretty mean, she is putting people out there and by playing their videos and saying your name, because she doesn't have to say your name. So at least she's, you know, but she obviously doesn't want to get sued or anything either because she's a lot bigger than most. But that's crazy. And I thought that was kind of disrespectful, though. I'm not gonna lie. That was not necessary at all. I don't know what that was about. I've seen that Nancy's late on a lot of these videos. She's really always behind on crime investigations. If you notice, I don't know why she's always behind. She's like 2 days behind all the time.
Of Nancy Guthrie respond. That looked a kid's metal lunchbox.
I'm surprised that machine worked so well when he wasn't wearing a tinfoil hat while using it. And here's the deal, right? For any of these paranormal researchers and psychics and
sorry guys, I won't laugh like that again.
They're weighing in.
I know I'm ugly. I'm sorry. Let me just not laugh anymore. That was just too funny, though. That really was.
On this case, I have a simple message. There's over a $1.2 million reward. If you want to prove to us that your information is accurate, package it up and send it into the FBI, right? But this nonsense of a noise machine supposedly communicating with Mrs. Guthrie to send a message to her family, it's really disturbing that people are giving this an audience.
Okay. I'm not giving it an audience. Okay, don't throw me in that pot to stew. I'm saying that those tips, please do not clog up the tip line with that. But there's another level to this. Dr. Bethany Marshall,
I agree,
not
Nancy.
long after my dad passed away, I had someone completely unrelated to me approach me, I believe I was at HLN, CNN at the time, approach me and tell me my father had communicated with them and wanted to give me a business decision, business advice. I'm like, I was polite, I listened and then walked away. It was so intrusive and so wrong. I'm pretty sure
Why does Nancy she's the one who says it's not family related, and why do I feel like we keep looking at Annie next to the perp? Like, and you know, in the beginning, a lot of us thought that it could possibly be a woman because the eyes were, okay, I guess according to most people, that the eyes were pretty and the eyebrows were pretty. I don't know what pretty eyebrows look like, and I don't know, guys. I don't know. But a lot of people were questioning whether or not it could have been an actual woman in that surveillance video. A woman carrying themselves like that with certain characteristics. So that, for me, it would have had to have been a dyke. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. That's the only way I could reference it, you know, because that's like the only way I can reference somebody that is a woman that dresses like a male. But that would be the only way, you know, I would, you know, assume that it's a woman. But I don't think it's a woman at all. And I don't think it's definitely not Annie. That perp in the eyes, perps in Annie's eyes do not match at all. It's not a match, guys. I don't know why Nancy Grace is putting them together for whatever reason. She's been so respectful of the family. This is probably the most disrespectful thing I've seen Nancy Grace do. I'm sorry. but I don't think she should have did this right here. I never really see too many things that I don't approve of with Nancy Grace, but this one is one I just didn't see her doing. It's not that I don't approve of it, but I mean, I don't ever see her do something I'm just like, I really disagree with, but this would probably be one of them because she's been so respectful of the family, and she doesn't even like to say that Nancy Guthrie is dead, you know, so interesting.
So intrusive and so wrong. I'm pretty sure if my dad wanted to communicate with me, he would come to me directly. But that said, that's hurtful on so many different levels.
Nancy, of all the TikToks you just played, I found this one to be the most cruel because he's claiming to have a direct line to Nancy Guthrie. It creates a sense that he's unique and has insight above all others, which is yet another motivation for conspiracy theorists. Nancy, we all rely on intuition. You wrote a book called Don't Be a Victim. And somewhere in there, I'm sure, you wrote about relying on that sixth sense, looking around, seeing what's really going on. But this guy, he actually uses it as a cruel, malevolent weapon with low levels of conscientiousness in terms of how this would impact the Guthrie family. How painful to see their own mother's voice mimicked, mocked, and distorted for some cheap form of entertainment. This one I couldn't even find remotely entertaining.
I agree. I found it hurtful on many, many levels. Brace yourself.
This is all I'm going to say about Nancy Guthrie. Anybody who knows old people knows that there is no such thing as an 84-year-old woman eating dinner at 9:30 at night. That has not happened since the dawn of man. Some ain't right.
So think about that, chat. Nancy Grace's face, priceless.
I'm going to say about Nancy Guthrie. Anybody who knows old people knows that there is no such thing as an 84-year-old woman eating dinner at 9:30 at night. That has not happened since the dawn of man. Some ain't right.
Does he have a point, chat? I don't know. I feel like, well, my mom's a grandma. I know she would eat with me at after 10 o'clock, but she's not 84 years old either, though, so...
Do you promise that's all you're going to say about Nancy Guthrie? Please, please, I'm going to hold you to that. That's Who's Matt Brown TikTok. My daughter comes home from school and she wants to eat supper right then. She's 18. My son wants to eat at 9 o'clock at night. So I guess since Nancy Guthrie wasn't at the senior citizen early bird special at 5 o'clock, that there's something wrong with that. So the point is, these conspiracy theories are coming from every which way. But I want you to hear this one. And I love them when they start with, I don't usually believe in conspiracies, but that should prepare you for what's to come.
I'm not typically a big conspiracy theory person. I like to hear about them, but I don't often actually believe them until I read a comment on my recent Nancy Guthrie video suggesting that Nancy could be teleporting. So this
Wait a minute. What? Are you dumb? Oh my God.
In conspiracies, but that should prepare you for what's to come.
I'm not typically a big conspiracy theory person. I like to hear about them, but I don't often actually believe them until I read a comment on my recent Nancy Guthrie video suggesting that Nancy could be teleporting. So this conspiracy is that we can't find Nancy Guthrie because she's actually teleporting. Like kind of Stranger Things vibes. Maybe she's teleporting into the Upside Down. Maybe she's teleporting to Paris. We don't know. When I read this, I was laughing because, like, obviously she's not teleporting. But then the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't know, guys. Like, what if she is teleporting?
Ray Shapiro at TikTok, let me put your mind at rest.
Man, shout out Nancy Grace. This lesson was great. I mean, if it was a lesson, I mean, good Lord, what is people thinking? This is what I'm talking about. These tips are probably a whole bunch of bogus tips that are being put out there because people mentally, I'm sorry, guys, are dumb. That's just crazy. That is just crazy. What? Never mind.
You can dismiss the theory that Nancy Guthrie is teleporting. You can just put that right out of your mind. Don't worry about it anymore. In fact, you need to go lay down and rest. Listen to this. This is one of my favorites.
Here's my Nancy Guthrie conspiracy theory. So I heard earlier today that the Pima County Sheriff's Office was involved with a reality TV crew. It was a show about Pima County. I think that the reality TV people are involved in one of two ways. They got down there and realized that the Pima County Sheriff's Office is not interesting enough to make a reality TV show about. So either they were going to go a long way to create some drama, or the sheriff was going to go a long way to create some drama.
Oh, wow. That's twisty. That's what I'm saying. These theories are insane. The way the stuff that these people come up with is crazy. I'm not going to say that last one couldn't have been possible, but no. No. Not buying it. That was just dumb. Guys, it clearly shows, the convict says it, guys, it clearly shows on the Today Show when Nancy made the bed. They said it was 3 o'clock. Nancy was wide awake. Okay, think if she's up at 3 in the morning, she goes to bed early. So why was she up at 3 in the morning? I think probably because they had this interview at that time and she knew that there was that interview. I think that was all scripted, planned for that video that you saw with Nancy making the bed when she was on the Today Show. I think that was all planned. I think personally, I don't think they're going to have a show and they randomly are like, hey, yo, go over here and try to make a bed real quick. You know, I don't think that's, yeah. So it was obviously planned. There's no way that they didn't plan that. She's already standing next to the bed and she's already waiting, you know, so she's obviously knows what they're doing. But yeah, that was not possible, I don't think, on that. Strawberry says, I suspected Nancy was often up at 3 a.m. because Savannah would go on live early and perhaps call her in the early a.m. I think it was all planned, and then not only that, you got to remember that New York is, I'll be 2 hours ahead of us, sometimes 3. So at 3 in the morning, it's 6 a.m. there, you know, and then at 4 in the morning, obviously, it's 7 a.m. Even if it was, and I don't know what time the Today Show starts, but I think that makes sense, though.
My favorites.
Here's my Nancy Guthrie conspiracy theory. So I heard earlier today that the Pima County Sheriff's Office was involved with a reality TV crew. It was a show about Pima County. I think that the reality TV people are involved in one of two ways. They got down there and realized that the Pima County Sheriff's Office is not interesting enough to make a reality TV show about. So either they were going to go a long way to create some drama, or the sheriff was going to go a long way to create some drama.
You know what I really like? Is when she gets to the really juicy part, she starts talking like this.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
really
from
weird.
Veronica and the Baby Boo on TikTok. Now, granted, the last two I've shown you before, but they were just so great I had to show them again. We are flooded every day, every afternoon, every night with theories. And a lot of them are actually pretty good.
Yep.
In this and other cases.
I agree.
And we discuss them on air. That said, please do not call the official tip line with these
That was great. Those are some great theories. Yeah, I can't imagine all the theories that Nancy Grace has gotten on her platform. It's insane to see the theories that we saw today. I mean, there's a lot of them, and they are very interesting. And like I said, it's very difficult to get caught up in someone else's theory, and then that theory that you learn from someone else obviously alters with your theory. It makes you think differently about the case. So, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, it's a lot going on in this investigation. Get Nanos out of there. We got to get Nanos up out of there. He's got to go. His story has changed. He's lied. I mean, this guy, he doesn't even know what he's doing. I mean, he even said it. He said that he's not used to an investigation like this. Pretty much. That's pretty much what he said in the beginning. And if that's the case, he said he wasn't used to all this attention as well. If that's the case, then get out. Go. Pass it down to the FBI. Let them be in charge. Why are you trying to fix something you can't fix? You know? But obviously, Sheriff Nanos is trying to cover up something, so he doesn't want the FBI involved because the FBI may just figure this out. They may figure out what Nanos is really up to, and he thinks he's going to be in more trouble. And they already know that he's got a lot of history. He's been in trouble multiple times. And you know how it is when you've gotten in trouble multiple times. A lot of times, you don't want to get in trouble again. So there's a high possibility that Nanos could very much so be involved in this somehow, some way. Or, you know, as far as his involvement, he could be probably covering up for somebody. I don't know, but we really need answers right now. We really do. Like, I really want to know whether or not, I just really want to know why he rejected all of this help. I do. I just really want to know why he's doing what he's doing. Why doesn't he want the FBI involved? Why, you know, why aren't they getting along? I have a lot of questions for Sheriff Nanos. I really do. And who was it? Was it somebody in the police department that sat down and had an interview with Brian Enton and told us, you know, everything about what was going on in this investigation, pretty much as far as how everyone feels about Nanos. He did mention also that Nanos, this isn't the first time that Nanos has been petitioned to get recalled. So my man's got some work to do if he plans on sticking around and making this case any better than he's already, you know, because he's already made it a lot worse than what it is. We had a press in the beginning. That was February 1st, I believe. He held a small press that very day.
Thank you so much.
And here's a few things he had to say.
I apologize for my political
First of all,
rhetoric.
I don't know what he's really got going on in his everyday life, but first of all, he was late. He wasn't even on time. And let's just listen to the video.
You guys are too easy.
Just a couple little moments
so
here in these interviews. Let's reflect.
My political rhetoric of the Board of Supervisors or the City Council, I just get so frustrated and you know, we just can't do this job without their support. We don't need political statements from the dais and mumbo jumbo. We need them to listen to their law enforcement leaders and really pay attention to the fact that we understand that there's a great potential for abuses in today's world with the technology that's available to us. But you have to, at some point in time, have some faith and trust in your leadership in the law enforcement community to know and understand that we too were elected here to provide a service to our community. I can't think of a community in this planet that wouldn't tell you, number one is public safety. Everybody just wants to be able to know that they can go outside and enjoy their community and come home and be safe.
Are you sure about that, my friend? Because the last time I checked, you said that, you know, they had asked him a question whether or not he thinks that this person is a threat, like whether or not he would strike again. And then, I don't know, Nanos just been everywhere, man. He's just been everywhere. Who cares? You know, just who cares what I even have to say about that? I don't even care.
Night in their rooms, asleep in bed. And this lady wasn't able to accomplish that. That's a sad statement. We need her back. We need to find her. And time is very critical. She is 84. She needs her meds. Her family needs her too. Thank you so much for being here.
So Nanos did, like I said, that was a press. I think I didn't even realize it, but I honestly think we've had 3 press. I think we've had about 3 press. That's February 1st. And then he gets on here again on February 3rd and does another press conference. And I think at this point, the FBI is involved in the investigation.
Of course, I'm Sheriff Chris Nanos. John Edwards is the Tucson chief here for the FBI, and he'll have some words for you as well. You know, this is really, for me, pretty new, all the media attention. So I apologize to you for sometimes I'm speaking in generalities, and I'm not used to everybody hanging on to my word.
Why is he always apologizing? And then he mentions the fact that he's not used to everybody not hanging on to his words. But it seems like every time he gets in here and does an interview, he's apologizing. What are you apologizing for? And is it a red flag if someone's always apologizing? I think a lot of us, some of us at least, think that it's a red flag when somebody constantly apologizes.
And then trying to hold me accountable for what I say. But I understand. So we're going to try our best to be succinct with you in the future, and also
let's go back a little bit.
Pretty new, all the media attention. So I apologize to you for sometimes I'm speaking in generalities, and I'm not used to everybody hanging on to my words and then trying to hold me accountable for what I say. But I understand. So we're going to try our best to be succinct with you in the future. And also more important for you to understand is we have a lot of work in front of us. We have a job to do. And we have someone's life who is in jeopardy. And so job number 1 is we got to find her, and we got to work hard to do that. I understand.
We got to find her, and we got to work hard to do that. You don't even sound like you're invested in this case. He doesn't even sound like he really wants to bring Nancy home. He just sounds like he's going through the motions and getting this out of the way. That's how he sounds to me. And like Sky says here in the chat, I don't believe anything he says. I agree. It just almost sounds like he's not even almost. It does. It just seems like he's just lying. It's like he's just trying to find the words to say, you know what? You should have did your homework. You should have did what the FBI did when he came in and spoke and wrote it down. You idiot. You should have wrote it down and figured out what you wanted to say. But no, you went into the room and acted like you knew what you were doing, and it turned out you didn't. You didn't. That man turned the sheriff's department's welfare check into a complete disaster. My goodness.
There's great attention on this, and rightfully so. And I appreciate it, and I thank you for it, because it has generated a lot of leads for us. And so we're tracking those leads, and we're doing things with evidence that you would expect us to be doing. So having
He's
said
about
that,
5'7",
we're going to set
5'8".
this up. I know that a
He's
number
short.
of you yesterday, you guys drove me crazy. Yesterday I was going from a.m. to all the way till 9, 10, 11 midnight, answering concerns and questions, and it's just too tough. And it's not fair to the case. So what I'm going to tell you is today we're going to do this.
Wow. So he says it's too tough to reply to people who are reaching out in regards to the case, but it's not too tough for Sheriff Nanos to make Nancy's road a one-way. It's not too tough for him to put up signs and tell everyone that they're going to be cited if they park in front of a home. It's not hard for you to put a sheriff in front of Nancy's home and for them to sit there all day, right? It's not hard for you to get rid of the media out there that's trying to help you with this investigation. It wasn't difficult for you to sit there and ignore the Cajun Navy either, right? I mean, we just think of all the things that Nanos has done. He seems like he's taken more time to be more harmful in this case than more helpful. Isn't that funny how that works? I just find it really, really odd. What has Nanos really done in this investigation to help bring Nancy home? Hell, what is he really doing out there in the community to even bring awareness to this case? Why isn't he reaching out to for help like the FBI is? The FBI came out here and they went door to door several times. Regardless of what we say about the FBI, they're still working on this investigation. They're still nipping at this case. As opposed to the sheriff department, I don't really know what they're doing besides the detectives that they have involved that are teamed up with one maybe FBI agent. I don't know. We had over 400 FBI agents out here at one point, and we're down to 5. And these guys are out in Phoenix because Phoenix has more sources.
We believe Nancy is still out there.
So this is February 5th, and this is the 3rd, I believe, press conference. Don't quote me on it. I guess I could be wrong, but it does say that. So this is February 5th, and I think this was the last one that we had just 4 days into the investigation, I believe.
We want her home. Our department, the sheriff's department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock.
No, you haven't. You haven't been working around the clock. You've been at basketball games and driving around in your Corvette and counting money. That's about it. You haven't. Lying again.
And we just want her home and get and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do. But I have other partners out there who have stepped up, and you've probably noticed them in the last few days, if not the last few hours, and you're going to see more of that. I made a decision to contact our PCRIT team, and those of you not local, that's our Pima Regional Critical Incident Team. It's made up of law enforcement officers from this entire valley. Pasquayaki Police Department, Tucson Police Department, Marana Police Department, Oro Valley Police Department, Pima College Police Department, Tucson International Police Department, Sarita Police Department. There's so many of them, and they are going to help us tremendously. And that's really done because we have so much in front of us still, and we're hoping that, you know, I know the FBI has committed a very large number of men.
Yeah, not to mention C-Bon 22, yeah, at the freaking gym working out. I mean, we wouldn't mind if Sheriff Nanos did all of these things if he was actually doing something in this investigation, but he's not doing anything at all. He's not doing anything at all. Hell, he doesn't even want any help. So, I mean, if he were actually doing something in this case, we wouldn't mind if he was actually doing the regular, normal life stuff. But I think he should be in tune, like every single day. I really think he should be living this whole thing. Like, I just don't even know how to even put it in words. But he really, really should not be out there. I mean, just because of this case having the attention that it has, he might not even want to be in the public eye right now. Based on how the world feels about this guy, he shouldn't even be in the public eye right now. I mean, it's just certain things that make us feel uncomfortable about him leading this investigation because there hasn't been any leadership at all anyways.
Women to partner with us, work side by side with us. We go do an interview, they're going to be there with us. We're going to go look at some evidence or process evidence, they're going to be right there with us. We're sharing every piece of information, all the data we can to get this thing solved. And it's important that my partners in law enforcement know and understand their roles, because it is very large, complex investigation with a lot of moving parts. And we're at that phase now where sometimes we're waiting, right? We're waiting for analysis. We're waiting for lab reports. But even then, when they come back quickly, for example, some DNA, we rushed what we thought was the best target for DNA. We did a rush through and got some of that back. The results were minimal. I think you all know the blood on the porch.
That was one we did. It came back to Nancy. That's what we know. But there's still more items that have been submitted. We just haven't got them back yet. But in the meantime, we're not just sitting on our haunches waiting. We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why.
Yeah, I believe Sheriff Nanos has a Corvette. I don't have the picture. However, I have seen the picture, and I should have saved it when I seen it. But yeah, somebody caught him riding around in a Corvette. It's white, I believe. It was a white Corvette when I saw it, unless he was in a rental car or somebody else's car. But damn, yeah, he definitely has a lot of money. I mean, he's not, I wouldn't say a lot of money like he's super rich or he's rich, but I know that he definitely makes very good money in the position that he's in for sure, and far more enough to afford a Corvette. I think he makes enough money to afford 3 Corvettes if he wanted to.
Brought in the FBI for one, but PCRIT as well, to be able to get out there and handle these leads as they come in as quickly and as expeditiously.
Not that that's relevant, but somebody was asking in the chat, or they said in the chat that Corvette, it said Corvette on the, a Corvette on a sheriff wage. Yeah. Blue Rose, by the way, big welcomes, Blue Rose. Yeah. Corvette on the cartel wage is crazy, convict.
As we can. And every single lead is looked at. Every one of them. And so we're gearing up. You probably have some questions about what you've seen in the last couple of days. I'll gladly answer those at that time. But it really is.
In charge of the FBI's Phoenix division. First, I want to let the Guthrie family know that our hearts are heavy for them. After seeing your message last night, it is clear that you and your family...
You see the difference already with the FBI. He's organized. He knows what he's, he wrote down what he wanted to say, so that way he's not everywhere. This is how you do it. And it's crazy. You know what's even more crazy? The fact that, sometimes we learn things very quickly from people that are in front of us or around us, and we start to understand how you should have did something. Well, this should have been the case for Mr. Chris Nanos here. He should have taken notes. But obviously, he feels like he's better than the FBI. So he felt like he wasn't obligated to do what looks professional. The guy got right up here, looked at his notes. Like I said, he wrote down what he wanted to say. It all made sense. He wasn't everywhere. That's how you get on here and do a press conference. You don't get up in front of a big old crowd, especially the media, and just start jabbering off. You don't. What is this guy doing?
Family are in pain. Please know that we are doing everything to bring your mother home. The FBI is now working this case jointly with the Pima County Sheriff's Department. And we're going to start today by announcing a $50,000 reward for information.
So remember, this is the beginning, guys. This is the time where they offered that $50,000 reward, and then at one point in time, it went up to $100,000. And then somebody, I think, donated a smaller portion, which was like $2,000. And then Savannah came out, and then she offered that that $1 million reward. On top of that, donating to, I think, something like a children's hospital or something like that. $500,000. And I'm not going to lie, when Savannah put out the fact that she was going to give out a $1 million reward, it made me upset. I'm not going to lie. And I keep saying this, and I'm not going to stop saying this, but I like to empathize. I like to put myself in somebody's shoes. And just the fact that Savannah did not send that money right away, it made me very upset and concerned. And then in this particular press conference, I think this FBI had stated that they left that option up to the family. And I think a lot of us were questioning whether or not if the FBI told Savannah not to send the money. But clearly he states that he left that up to the family to make that decision in regards to the ransom note. And you'll hear that right now. So if there were any other source that Savannah had telling her to not send the money, it was amongst her family members or her lawyer if she had a lawyer. But why would she really have a lawyer? Well, for a lot of reasons, obviously. But I mean, I just don't see that being a thing in regards to her making that decision, because it's her money. She does what she wants with it. But, you know, who knows? If she did have a lawyer, they could have told her that they didn't feel like it was legitimate as far as the ransom goes. But I just think she just simply made the decision not to send that money at the time that, you know, that ransom was being put out. I'm sitting here in my chair, you know, watching this whole thing unfold, just like, oh, just send the money. Just send the money, Savannah. Just send the money. Like, I just feel like it's just one of those things, and I keep saying this too, that she's going to regret for the rest of her life. If that ransom was real, and in the fact that she came out and she said that she thought the ransom was real, made me wonder even more. I'm like, why didn't you just send the money then? You're showing the world you got the money by offering $1 million reward. Maybe not. Maybe $6 million was out of her range. But Savannah, from me to you, I just want to tell you something. The entire world is involved. You have the entire nation involved amongst the United States and beyond. There are other people involved, meaning other countries are involved. Why not put out a GoFundMe, maybe not a GoFundMe, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you got the money, send the money. If you don't, you still do, because there are so many people who would have donated and helped come up with the money before that deadline. And that would have just been brushed under the rug once we established we didn't get Nancy back, or if we did, had she just sent the money. But she didn't. And that really made me angry, because I really, really was hoping that she would have just sent the money. And everything is on the line when my mom is missing. You know, I can't say what I'd be thinking at that time, so I can't really hold her too much accountable for not sending the money. However, I just really felt like she should have just sent that money.
The recovery of Nancy Guthrie, and or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance, and this will be the missing persons with the reward that will be going out. The FBI has agents, analysts, and professional staff employees working day and night with our partners at the Sheriff's Department. We have deployed additional intelligence and agents from our Phoenix office. We have brought in our critical incident response group from Quantico, Virginia. Members from our cellular analysis survey team are here, and they continue to collect and process digital information. We are actively reviewing and analyzing information from all digital sources, which includes banks, social media companies, phone companies, and any other organizations where a digital footprint could have been captured. All this information provides data points and helps put the picture together. And we will be in the community continuing to conduct a thorough investigation with our partners. You heard about us out there last night. We will be back out there today. I would ask the media, give our investigators the space to do their jobs while they're out there. Next, regarding the ransom letter. We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family, and while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family.
So you heard it. You heard it, guys. Listen again.
Ransom is ultimately decided.
And I don't know how a lot of us missed this, but because a lot of us were asking whether or not that the FBI told Savannah not to send that money, but here it is.
Perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family.
So any ransom, one more
On any
time.
ransom is meant from a law enforcement perspective. Any action taken, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family. And while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family.
And he said they recommend. He recommended it.
On any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. Thank you to those in the community that have called in tips. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.
And this is exactly why people are putting stupid tips out there, because he probably said that. But I mean, they're at a dead end. I mean, these guys at this point in time, you have to think they didn't have nothing, so they're probably kind of losing their chops because of everything that happened in the beginning with the crime scene. You know, and just seeing them come out numerous of times you go door to door and ask questions. These guys are dying. They were dying for answers, and I still think they're dying for answers now. But, you know, because he's obviously desperate for any little information that they could get. I mean, it's a desperation moment. I mean, in that first 48 hours it is. But, I mean, they just took too long. It took too long. And now, you know, they've got all the time in the world, but just considering how the FBI is moving, and they've been moving for so many weeks this way, I think that's what gives that indication to all of us that Nancy's no longer with us. I think that's what convinced us earlier on. But, you know, that's just me.
FBI.gov. My next message is...
Here's that picture, by the way, Jeff.
To those imposters who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation, we will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions. We have made one arrest related to an imposter ransom demand, and a complaint will be presented to a magistrate judge later today. You will get more on that from the FBI and our U.S. Attorney's Office here in Arizona.
Watch what he says right here. This is really, really interesting here.
When it becomes available. To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing. This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing before this becomes a much worse scenario for you. Please return Nancy home. Thank you.
Before it becomes a worst case scenario. Wait, what? What does that mean? For you.
Please return Nancy home.
Why would it become a worst case scenario for us?
Much worse scenario for you.
He said something in the beginning and I missed it.
For anyone out,
but it was kind of directed toward the sheriff. It was really weird and odd. Let me see.
We're aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local. Next, regarding the ransom letter, to do their jobs while they're out there. Next, regarding the ransom letter. We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family. And while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. Thank you to those in the community that have called in tips. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov.
It might have been the second press that he did. He said something really odd, kind of directed toward the sheriff's department, and I thought it was kind of rude. But good, because it just kind of goes to show, it showed that they weren't really getting along, and I don't think the FBI is like Nanos at all whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, due to the medications that Nancy was on, and I hate to even bring this up and talk about it because we really don't have to, But due to her needing medication to, you know, prolong her life, you know, keep her alive, and, you know, that pacemaker, I think after a certain amount of time, it's obviously safe to say that she's no longer with us now. Whether or not that she gets declared dead, I don't know how long that would take. And I don't know if that would be a family decision. Perhaps they were to move in that direction, you know, for all we know, maybe she already was, but I don't think so. I think we would have heard about that if they were to declare Nancy dead. But it's just a sad story. It's a sad story. I don't know how I'm gonna feel if we find our perp and we find Nancy. I don't know how that's really gonna make me feel. And I'm somebody who's not, like, you know, afraid to be emotional in front of anybody. So I don't know. This case has just put a lot on a lot of us. It's been traumatizing. It's our American grandma, like they say, you know. But yeah, it's just a very, very mind-blowing investigation. And it just hurts to see this going the way it's going. And just everything that's happening with the Gus family, all the way to Savannah, just hurting, and just even seeing her lose, like, weight, you know. I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine, Chad. It's just a sad, sad, sad thing. I wanted to real quick play this video before I got off tonight with Brian Ensign, because I didn't get a chance to play it, so I just wanted to briefly play it here on stream with Brian Ensign with the interview he did. We talked about it earlier when I was in front of Nancy's, but we didn't really get the chance to listen to the whole thing, so I feel like I had to do it because there were so many vehicles passing by at the time. Yeah, Nelson, I agree. I hate to even talk about Nancy like that. You know, I feel like I'm kind of being rude or disrespectful, but we got to keep it real. You know, I like to keep it real. So yeah, it's
next message.
It's hard, but we gotta talk about it. We gotta say it. And there's obviously better ways to say it, but I like to just kind of be really straightforward. But anyway, Brian Ensign had sat down and he talked with this FBI or this you know, maybe he was a part of the sheriff's department, you know, he was a deputy. I don't know what he was, but it sounded like to me he was like an FBI agent. I'm not too sure if he was, but it sounded like it to me.
The biggest mistakes when it comes to the Nancy Guthrie investigation, from what you know?
Speaking with some people that actually know the intimate knowledge of this investigation.
I live near Mexico, yes, guys. I mean, I'm in Tucson, Arizona. Mexico's an hour away from me. Depending on where you go in Mexico, it's about 2 hours. A lot of people like to go to Rocky Point out here. I think that's not too far. Is that in Mexico? I'm not too sure. I don't know. But anyway.
You know.
Speaking with some people that actually know the intimate knowledge of this investigation have told me that there was an immediate rush to judgment on what was happening at that scene, and it was that Nancy had somehow wandered off. And so they rushed to that judgment.
Oh, Handsome was asking Joanne. Oh, I'm sorry, Handsome.
This was a search and rescue.
I didn't even see that. That's how you know I'm getting tired.
From what you know, were the initial people who responded inexperienced?
From what I understand, the people that were there on the scene were not 10-year homicide detectives. They didn't have a lot of experience in homicide at that point, to include the supervisor, who, from my understanding, never investigated homicide before being installed as the supervisor for the homicide unit.
So the supervisor who first responded to Nancy Guthrie's house had never investigated a homicide?
Correct.
How is that possible?
Well, so you have decisions made by people that will install friends and people that can do stuff for them, opposed to people that are there on their merit and can do the job correctly.
Do you think not enough evidence was collected?
The fact that detectives had to return to that location not once but several times leads me to believe that they should have
Guys, I just wanted to give big thanks and shouts to those of you guys tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you are enjoying the channel here. More to come, new to crime. Got a long way to go, but don't forget to hit that like button if you're tuning in right now. There's no way we got only 80 people, or 80 people tune in, 74 likes. Actually, that's really good. Actually, it's really close to the number that we have right now. So don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you haven't.
Handled it differently. They should have kept the scene secure.
Do you get the sense right now that there's anyone that they're seriously looking at?
The people I've talked to that are still in the know on this investigation tell me that there's no direct suspect right now. No name on the table.
Is that shocking?
Not with how the investigation's gone so far. I mean, you have individuals that are either lucky as hell or more cunning than a lot of people have seen in the past. If you take the first, extremely lucky, maybe his luck will run out, but so far it hasn't. But if you take the second one, that he was extremely cunning, there's a chance that he may have covered his tracks so well that we may not find out what happened right now.
Obviously, we're hiding your identity right now because you could get in a lot of trouble for speaking out this way. What would you want to say to the sheriff if you could?
I would say that he ruined a great department. It's savable if he steps aside. And I would ask him to step aside.
How would you describe morale at the sheriff's office right now?
I would say right now it's extremely low. This is the lowest I've seen. There's a lot of embarrassment, especially with the news kind of conversations that we had.
See, you know and this has to be the sheriff department, but you know that the sheriff department is just really going downhill right now due to the fact that somebody's willing to speak out, jeopardize infecting an investigation that's going on, just to send a message. I mean, that's just crazy to me. I just can't see the FBI doing this because the FBI doesn't have an issue amongst people in their department. So I just can't see it being an FBI agent, but I can see an FBI agent being upset with the sheriff's department, but they've moved so smartly in this investigation so far, at least. I mean, they've had a couple little questionable things happen, but for the most part, they've moved how they normally move or would move. So I don't know if I could really say that whoever Brian Enton sat down with was somebody in the FBI. I think it was very much so somebody in the sheriff's department. There's a lot of things going on with the sheriff's department that, not just this investigation, but other things like just, even Reynolds, for instance, getting arrested the other day.
Nanos, his interaction with the media.
When the press conferences started happening and the interviews with Nanos, what were you thinking?
Shut your mouth. Stop talking. That's pretty much what we were all saying. Is why is he out there saying that?
The no confidence vote, I mean, that every single deputy in the union voted that they don't have confidence in the sheriff, I think to a lot of outsiders was like, wow, I mean, every single deputy.
Yeah, this isn't the first no confidence vote that we've done. So it should have been no surprise to him, especially with what's been going on. So not only our local community, Arizona in general, but just the nation now sees that we have no faith in Chris Nanos.
Is it awkward for people working there?
I think everyone is walking on eggshells.
What would people in the department want to say to Savannah?
Just to explain to Savannah that just because we have an incompetent lead doesn't mean that we don't care, that we don't want Nancy to be brought home safely, and that we're not with her in this. We are completely with her and her family in this.
I really appreciate, obviously, that source for trusting.
So that was that interview. I just felt like I wanted to just briefly go through that interview because I thought it was interesting to see what everybody kind of thought about that interview. I think some people actually think that it was the FBI. However, I don't think so. But who knows? Who freaking knows? We just want Nancy to simply come home, chat. We want her to come home and we want to find this perp. Will they find the perp, guys? You think they're going to find the perp at some point in time? Let me know what you think in the chat. I really want to know what people think, what y'all think, well, whether or not they'll find this guy, or guys, because it could be more than, obviously it could be more than one person, but Who knows at this point? Actually, I just want to see what everybody thinks just real quick here. Just real quick. Dang, Handsome, that's how you feel? You feel like people don't really share their full assumptions? I don't know if that's what he's saying. I know he's talking to somebody in chat. No perp will be found looking outside family and friends. I think I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they're going to find the perp, and then other times I'm just like, I don't know. This might be the perfect crime. I think this guy got away with it. But it's just us overlooking the fact that it just takes time for these guys, so much time for them to find suspects. And even if they don't actually use everything that they have to find this guy, it just takes time for somebody to come forward. I just wanted to put up a quick little poll just to see what everybody thinks, since not everybody likes to comment and, you know, say anything. So the perp's right there. Annie and Tommaso, convict says. Is it Annie and Tommaso? I don't know. I can't call it. They did look a little suspicious at moments and times, though. I'm not going to lie. There were some suspicious things about them. They do look a little odd to me at times as well. They are going through stuff financially, even though we all think that there's a big possibility that they have a lot of financial backup because of, you know, Savannah being the one with, you know, a lot of money, you know. So, I mean, obviously she could financially back them if that, you know, perhaps they needed the help. Yeah, there's a big possibility that Savannah has been their backbone and she's been holding them down for quite some time. But yeah, you know, just looking at the pictures, because they have several, you know, or more than one, you know, when we see them in their CRV covering their face. Not only that, the crazy thing about it is their car was held for so long. I don't know if Savannah maybe bought them a new car, but the car that they were originally in was an older CRV. It wasn't even newer, but I saw somebody catching Savannah or Annie pull up to the house, and that car that she pulled up in was a newer CRV. The one that they currently were in, or that got taken, I believe that they were in, was a lot older than the one that she arrived in. And you know they're low on money, so how they got the money to just get a brand new CRV? It looked like it was pretty much new. It's like, what? And I was trying to find the photo because I had another photo with Annie and Tommaso in their vehicle, kind of just sitting there covering their face. But I don't have the other picture. I have it, but I don't see it, so I'm not going to waste the time to look for it. Anyways, guys, I appreciate everybody stopping by tonight. I appreciate everybody coming through and checking out the channel, giving the stream thumbs up, subscribing to the channel. We got to keep at it, man. We're going to keep doing this every day. Keep this case going. Try to keep everybody in tune. Keep sending tips if you have any tips that are worthy, though. You know, send a tip in if you have a worthy tip that might help bring Nancy home. You know, you never know, you could get that $1 million reward. But don't just do it just to do it, you know. Do it because you care. You know, don't just send a tip that you know isn't worthy. Happy Easter, everybody. Yes, I hope everybody has a good Easter. If you have time tomorrow and you're not, you know, busy, you know, tune in tomorrow. We'll be in front of Nancy's at some point in time. I got a little something planned with the family too, so I don't know if I'd be at Nancy's right away in the morning, but I will probably be there tomorrow evening. So if you want to stop by and tune in with me tomorrow out in front of Nancy's, feel free to stop by. Guys, have a wonderful night. I am going to go ahead and call it a stream. It's been a great stream. It's been great chatting with everyone tonight. I think I am forgetting something, though, that I kind of like to do. And I think, not kind of, I do. There were several comments. I'm not going to really read any, but I just wanted to shout everybody out that did drop a comment in the comment section. I truly appreciate it. And those who subscribed, you know, there were a lot of people who subscribed from several other streams, like Criminal Networks for one, JLR. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for coming by and just giving me your time and opportunity to, you know, maybe be interested in watching the channel, perhaps. But much love, guys. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful night. It's your boy, the Juice. I am signing out for the night, guys. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. But anyways, guys, that's my time. Y'all have a wonderful night. I'm gone.